Okay.
How are we doing? I'm right now live on the bongo sphere right over here. Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I am here. I think I'm tapped into the Matrix.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to do an introductory spiel here. Anyways, welcome back to Bongo Picks, everybody. I'm Bongo, your host. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm doing something totally new. I haven't done something like this before. I'm literally checking in today and going and I'm just talking about vinyl records. I've been collecting retro stuff since around 1999, and one of the things that is very important to me in my collection of old stuff is vinyl records. And I'm here with my buddy Chris. We go a long way back. And Chris is also a vinyl collector as well. You've been very involved with the VC community on YouTube. Chris, how are you doing right now?
I am great, Bongo. I am great. I'm so happy that we were able to get together for a little collaboration here.
I am so excited for this collaboration. I've done video game collaborations, but this is officially my first just chatting, just nerding out to vinyl records type of collaboration, and I certainly hope that it won't be the last.
Yeah, same with me. My first time, other than just comment discussion with other YouTubers, my first time actually joining in on something like this. So I've seen some other channels do it, and it's pretty exciting to be able to do it with someone like you, who we've known each other for a long time now. And we're both you're my vinyl buddy. We used to both of us used to go vinyl shopping together years ago.
That's right. Yes, we did. Yeah, the two of us back when I was still in Toronto, and I remember going
That's right.
to definitely She Said Boom, um, uh, Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom.
There's a lot of
Sonic Boom.
there's a lot of boom themed
That's right.
businesses
That's right.
in the Toronto area. But so Chris and I are both local to the Toronto area. But now we both no longer live in the Greater Toronto area. We are both in the countryside. I'm over at South Algonquin in the east side of Algonquin Park. And whereabouts are you at?
I am in a little town called Wanapate, just about 20 kilometers east of Sudbury, Ontario.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
I
So
already
we're
have a
both up
few
in the snowy north.
in the snowy north. I already have a viewer here. Talking Galade says, "Did somebody say vinyl?" Yes, we did say vinyl. We are here to talk about vinyl records. Yes, we're going over our top 10 vinyl records released 50 years ago in 1972. And now, Chris, we were talking about that little caveat.
Yes. So there are going to be some 1972 albums that maybe you and I don't have. We're not going to be mentioning those because we're just talking about ones that we have that are in our collection that we really like. So if you don't see some of your favorites here,
I was
you
here,
can let us
then I left. I did some
maybe it's on your list.
stuff. Now I'm back.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So both Chris and I, despite our decent collections, we don't own all of the albums released in 1972. So
That's right.
there might be some albums that don't appear on our list. But nevertheless, if you're sitting out there and you're listening and we don't have one of these important albums from 1972, let us know, because
Yeah.
maybe next time we go shopping, we should really be looking out for those albums.
That's right. And then the other thing we were going to mention as well is that if there's any people maybe from Europe or elsewhere, not in North America, they might notice that some of these albums, they might say, hey, that was released in 1971. There were some different release dates in North America that there were in the UK. So you might see some albums that were released in maybe November or December 71, but over here in North America, they were released in January or February. So they kind of make our list. We get to cheat a little bit.
That's right. And then my buddy here, Talking Galade, is saying, I had just bought a vinyl record of Foo Fighters' greatest hits.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
just got for Christmas, Annika, my girlfriend, got me The Color and the Shape, Foo Fighters.
So, and I'm ashamed to admit, right now, I do not have a Foo Fighters album in my collection. I'm ashamed to admit
You've
it.
got time. You've got
I
time.
have time, right? But this is the beauty of vinyl collecting, is that the next time I go record shopping, I need to bolster my Foo Fighters selection, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay. Well,
I
what?
just want to say hello, Purple Bag of Doritos. Hello, another user, a Twitch follower out there. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about vinyl records here today.
That's
So,
right.
right on. Well, we were debating about who goes first, and my idea was, you know what, Chris, you were the first one that broke into this online vinyl community, so I would be delighted to
Okay.
give you the honor of going first. And we're going over
Okay.
our top 10. We're talking about
Top
10
10.
top
Yeah.
10 albums.
Top 10 favorite 1972 albums that we like to spin. So I will start,
Let's go.
and coming out the gate
Let's go.
with number 10,
What
we
is it?
are going with something a bit softer, a bit folky.
Yeah.
This is America.
Nice. Nice.
So this is actually my dad's, and we can't really see. There is my last name written here, which, it's funny because any other album that I would have purchased, that would be a blemish. But it's kind of cool when it's like your own dad's record, and like you've got, he wrote this, 50 years ago or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the debut album from America.
Nice.
These guys were young at the time when they released this, so I think they were in their late teens, like 19-ish.
Cool.
And they're a trio. There's some nice tunes on here. This is, as I said, this is like folky, soft rock. The big hit off of this was Horse with No Name.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar
Yeah.
with that one.
Which apparently in the UK, this album was released without Horse with No Name, but it was such a big single at the time that when they made the North American release, they had to add it on there because it was probably their biggest hit to date.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is what my girlfriend and I would call morning music. We like to put on some soft stuff in the morning and look out the window at the water and just drink our coffees and start our day with something softer. So this would make the list. There are some really nice tunes on here. As I said, Horse with No Name. There's also a really nice song called I Need You, which is really nice. And then there's also one that's called Sandman,
Okay.
which is a little bit faster pace, which I kind of like that one. So America, as I said, is a trio. One of the guys, Peak, I don't know his first name.
Yeah.
He would end up leaving America years later, and they became a twosome. And I think he became like a Christian pastor, or at least he started making like Christian music, and just left America and then started to pursue that. So they became a twosome after that. But this is a nice one from 1972, softer, folky, but this is a good one to pick up.
Morning coffee music, right?
That's right. You can't be rocking out all the time,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, so that's Chris's number 10.
Number 10.
All right, Bongo's number 10. And for those of you that are just joining us here, we're talking about the top 10 albums from 1972 that we happen to own. Right on. Okay, so let's go to my selection here. So my number 10 is The Best of the Birds, Greatest Hits, Volume 2. So Jay Busson is back here. Jay Busson, welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. We're talking about vinyl records here today. So The Birds. This, I don't know if I'd consider this the best Birds album ever. I definitely do think that side 2 is the standout side. I'm sure,
Yeah.
Chris, you've got this same similar feeling where I have this experience where I own an album and it's just like side one, like one side is just like so much oomph than the other side. This is like one of those albums, but nevertheless, I had to have this on here for several reasons. Number two, yeah, side two is just absolutely awesome. I'd say the standout track, You Ain't Going Nowhere. But side two is just a fantastic collection of songs here. The Byrds started off not as a country rock band, but there was a musician whose name is Graham Parsons. Died really young at the age of 26. He didn't quite even make it to the 27 Club.
Right.
And what else was I going to say? This album is totally from their country rock period. I think they started off as a psychedelic band, but then upon meeting Graham Parsons, they turned into a country rock band. And me living where I live here in the village of Whitney in the township of South Algonquin, country rock is a really big, like, that's the vibe. That's like the ethos of the land here is this really wonderful mixture of country and rock and roll. And I think the Byrds are really symbolize that. So that's my number 10 right there from the Byrds.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they only made one album with Graham Parsons. I think Sweetheart of the Rodeo was like the big one that they made with Graham Parsons.
That's correct. Yes, he did branch off, and then he had another band called the Flying Burrito Brothers. And then he also burnt out and died as well. Yeah. So unfortunately, we lost a creative at a young age very quickly, but he lived life to the fullest, indeed.
Yes, as many rock stars do.
As many rock stars do. Absolutely.
Okay, so that was your number 10?
That was my number 10.
Okay, so we're going with number 9 now for me. Okay, this is...
I was here, and I left. I did some stuff. Now I'm back.
Some people might know this album as called No Answer, but it's actually that's actually a misnomer. So the label will show that it's called No Answer, but I guess the story is that somebody was calling the production company for some reason, and they didn't get an answer, so they just wrote down No Answer. And whenever they printed the labels on the records, they thought that was the title because it said No Answer. So the actual label of the record will say No Answer, but this is just self-titled Electric Light Orchestra. So this is obviously from 1972. ELO was kind of transitioning from there was a band called The Move, which had most of the ELO members were in this band called The Move, and it was Jeff Lynne, Bev Bevan, and Roy Wood, and Roy Wood was like the leader of that band. And I think The Move actually released an album that year as well, 1972, and then they released the ELO album, and basically that was the end of The Move, and they just started with ELO. But Roy Wood, he wouldn't stay with ELO for too long. I think he appears on ELO 2, and then that's it. So with this album, this is like when you think of the Beatles, like Eleanor Rigby, when you hear like the cello in Eleanor Rigby, or like the end of Strawberry Fields, where it gets like real trippy and like you can hear the cello. That to me, like that personifies this album here. There is so much cello in this album. It is almost like, if I had one bad thing to say about it, is that there's too much cello. Like it's enough with the cello. But so they kind of trade tracks. There's Roy Wood will write one, Jeff Lynne will write another, Roy Wood one, Jeff Lynne another. And this isn't I don't think it's not ELO's best. It's pretty raw, but you will see you can kind of see that Jeff Lynne has a real penchant for writing good hooks. You can kind of hear some poppy hooks that he writes on this album. Which he'll obviously take into further ELO albums. I would say a couple standout tracks on here. The opening track, 10538 Overture. It's pretty nice. That's a Jeff Lynne album, a Jeff Lynne song. Mr. Radio, also from Jeff Lynne.
Yeah.
Queen of the Hours is really nice.
Yeah.
And then the final track is called Whisper in the Night, which is Roy Wood, and that one's quite nice as well. So that is my selection, number 9 for 1972 albums.
Number 9. Before we move on, can I ask you what is your top ELO album?
Top ELO album is El Dorado.
El Dorado? Okay.
From 1974, which is I think that's their 4th that they released. It's a concept album. Anyone who follows my channel, I talk about it in a couple other videos, and that one apparently that was like so Jeff Lynne's father was a musician, like a classically trained musician.
Yeah.
And he apparently had criticized Jeff Lynne that he didn't have any good harmonies or like any good real like tunes in any of his songs. So kind of as a like to spite his dad, he wrote El Dorado and inserted all these real catchy tunes. And happy to say that in that one, there's much less cello than in this one.
They just totally binged on the cello. That's
a little too much.
That's incredible. Okay, I'm just gonna give a shout out to Gold Scythe. Naz is in the Rock House. This is a user on YouTube. And Naz runs a channel called The Hungry Kayak. So welcome, Naz.
Nice.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, he does. So he lives really close to the Toronto waterfront, and he's got a kayak. And then his whole thing is he gets takeout food from various different vendors in the Toronto area, and then he does his kayaking, and then he breaks for lunch, and then films his YouTube video as he's like on an island somewhere or on a riverbank, and he's just
that's awesome.
Yeah, and he's eating his takeout food with his kayak, so it's pretty neat.
That's right up our alley.
That is right up our alley. So thank you, Naz, for stopping by and visiting our stream today. Okay, my number 9. So the way I did this, I have 3 compilations on my list of top 10 albums from 1972. And I've put all 3 of these compilations at the very end of my top 10 list. Because as important as compilation albums are, there is something to be said about those original releases, right? Those original albums. So So my next compilation, and this is the second compilation out of 3 that appear on my list. This one is called Heavy Cream by, of course, the band Cream.
Nice.
So this is Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, and Jack Bruce. And a lot of people forget that Eric Clapton was not actually the singer in Cream. It was actually the bassist, Jack Bruce, that did the vocals.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think he might sing on a couple, but I think, he was not the regular singer.
That's right. I think he did contribute vocals for sure, but it was absolutely Jack Bruce that did the majority of the singing. This album this album really celebrates the vibe and the sound of vinyl. Whenever I put this on, there's just something so crunchy about it. There's something so 60s and this kind of raw, psychedelic energy in this album. It really... I off the top of my head, I can't even recall how many albums Cream had. I don't think that they had a lot because they were a super group and then they disbanded. They did not last very long at all. Yeah. But if you're ever just gonna buy one Cream album, Heavy Cream, you're totally set. This is a beautiful album. There's 2 discs in it, side 1, 2, 3, 4. And as for favorite tracks, I love the track Badge. I love Badge.
Yeah.
Very cliche. White Room, another one that I just absolutely love.
Yeah.
I Feel Fine. What else? Crossroads, of course, is another incredible song. Tales of Brave Ulysses. That I just like cover to cover, this album to me just really encapsulates the 60s. And of course, this was released in 72 as well. So.
Right. And that's a double album?
It is a double album. Yeah, I love double albums. It is a double album. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's just a beautiful one right there. And when I look at it, I don't know if you can see that on, yeah, maybe not. It might be a bit too bright, but
Yep.
1972. It actually has the date 1972 on it. So
Great.
that's
Yeah, cream.
that's my number 9.
Cream. I was just gonna say, cream is. I don't have any cream in my collection. Obviously, like it's funny because there's albums that you see out, like I'll see out when I'm digging. Like I've seen like Disraeli Gears, and I intend to pick it up, but
Yeah.
it's not always. Sometimes it's just not the right time, or you
Yeah.
just don't find the right copy, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'll get it eventually, but don't have any cream. Other than I showed recently an Eric Clapton, like a history of Eric Clapton,
Yeah.
and that's a also double disc, and there's a lot of cream on that as well. So got a little bit of cream.
Awesome. Well, you know what? If you're only going to get one album, Heavy Cream, and that will set
Heavy
you
Cream.
up just right.
All right, cool. Okay,
Okay.
so we're on to number 8 now.
Let's go.
Okay, so this is an album I have shown. This was a VCLT, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, Vinyl Community Love Train. It's when people just kind of send you albums or give you albums for free.
That's amazing.
And if you can, you can repay the favor and give them an album someday as well. But
Yeah.
this is my friend Sean Lagan, who I know you are familiar with as well.
Love Sean.
He gave me this album. This is Stephen Stills' Manassas. I've got
Nice.
my CSNY shirt on right now. So yes, 1972. This is fresh right after CSNY broke up, and a very creative period for Stephen Stills. This is a double album. You can see a lot of musicians on this one.
Yeah.
This is a good album. It's as I say, double album. So there's each side has a different theme.
Cool.
So side 1 is called The Raven, and that's like rock and Latin tunes. Side 2 is The Wilderness. That's country and bluegrass tunes.
Amazing.
Side 3 is called Consider, and that's folk and folk rock.
Yeah.
And then side 4 is called Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay. And in case you couldn't guess, that is like rock and blues songs.
Yeah.
I would say like the distinction between all 4 sides is kind of loose. Like it's not. It's a little bit loose.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs sound similar.
Yeah.
This is a good album, but being like the CSNY fan that I am, I really would have loved this to be like a CSNY album.
Right.
For Stills to have this many songs, I just kind of really would like. I just want to hear, Crosby and Nash like harmonizing with him on this album. But a good one nonetheless.
That's cool. I love the whole Good Samaritan vinyl thing. I think that's so cool. That's unbelievable.
Great.
Yeah. Awesome. I just want to say hi to my friend Duck. Welcome to the stream, Duck. We're talking about vinyl today. And who else? Naz has subscribed to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Naz, for the subscription right there. We appreciate that. All right, and Naz also says, can't wait to hear the top 3. I know. Drum roll.
Yeah. The good thing about doing the countdown is like every next album, I'm like, oh, I love this one even more, and like even more than the last one.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. And I think the two of us also realized this too, that 1972 compared to some other years was a little bit more of a quiet year. I feel like even like 71, 73, that there was a lot, like for example, there was no Zeppelin album released in 72, right?
That's right.
There was no Who album released in 72 as well. So there's some major band, Pink Floyd, nothing in 72 as well. So like
I feel like
did
I
Floyd
think-
have something?
I think Obscured by Clouds.
Yeah?
I think is 73, but I don't have Obscured by Clouds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's also like it's like a soundtrack, like a movie soundtrack.
Okay.
They wrote for a film. So
yeah.
I mean Dark Side would be a year later, so we'll have to wait to show that one.
That's okay. We're only starting this little collaboration series, so
who knows where it could go.
We've still got a lot more to discuss, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so what are we on? Is this number?
I think this is 8.
This is number 8.
I
Okay,
think
so
so.
because I talked
Yeah,
about, yeah, you're right. 10,
yeah,
9. This is 8. This is 8.
this is
Okay,
8.
arithmetic was not my forte. All right, drum roll. Duck says, I've got 1.2k points now. Keep on collecting those bongo points. Okay, and mine is going to be The Doors. This is a compilation Doors album. So Morrison had died the year before, and this was released in 72, and this was a double compilation album. I love the double albums, just love them. So I'm just going to open this up for you here just to show you that, yes, it is a double album. I just love how it looks.
Nice.
I love how it feels. Got this really psychedelic art on both sides. Another reason why I think you and I are both into vinyl is just the visual artistry behind it, right?
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
and just the 12 inches is just a really, really great space for art and just to hold. It's just a wonderful medium in that regard.
Absolutely.
But anyways, The Doors. This is called Weird Scenes from Inside the Gold Mine. And this compilation of Doors songs spans their entire career from their first album to their last album. And it's wild to think the Doors' first debut album was released in 1967, and by 71, Jim Morrison was dead, and that's it. In 4 years, that they were recording artists, and that's it. It's incredible with how short of amount of time it was, and they were that productive within that amount of time. And this album I picked up. I actually so for those of you that are unaware. I run a hospitality business here on the edge of Algonquin Park, and people come and stay. They rent my cabins here, and it was actually the brother of one of my customers sold me a lot of vinyl. Like, I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe 1,000 units. It was
that's awesome.
like a huge lot. In fact, he reached out to me and he sent me a list, and he said. I guess he had taken the time to go into Microsoft Word and write down every single album that was in the collection that he was selling. It was an inheritance that he had received from his uncle. And he sends me the email, and I say, you know what, how much for the, you know what I did? I said, I'm offering you this amount for the whole lot.
Yeah.
And he thought about it. We had a little bit of a negotiation, and then I just ended up buying the whole lot. And this came in that lot.
That's
Danilo. Danilo is his name. The Legend of Manu from Germany is here. Hey, Manu, how are you doing? Manu's an awesome streamer over there in Germany that does mainly video games. We're talking about vinyl records, and I'm doing a collaboration today with my good friend Chris, whose YouTube channel is called Stylus Meets Vinyl over on YouTube. But anyways, before I go any further, this album introduced me to the tracks Peace Frog, Running Blue, and Maggie McGill. Those 3 songs, they're like, my favorite Doors album is LA Woman. But there are some songs from the other albums that are included on here that are just amazing tunes. And I'm so happy that they put them on here, because a lot of times on compilations, they just put the cliche hits. But they really snuck in some really dark horse gems on this compilation, and that's why I love it so much. I'm a huge Doors fan, so I could not resist talking about the best albums from 1972 without including this compilation on the list. So that's
nice.
That's my rant.
I have a comment here from Dusty Spins.
Let's hear it. I'd love to hear it.
He says, I think that's the reason many vinyl collectors still collect Laserdiscs, the size of the artwork. That is totally true. Dusty Spins has his own channel. He does actually a ton of live streams as well. So, absolutely, that's. I mean, you're getting a piece of music, a piece of media, and then also you're getting like art. You're getting artwork.
That's right.
It's a double whammy. Way better than like an MP3 where you can't even hold it in your hand.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And you know what, speaking of which, I just want to ask the audience out there that's tuning in, how do you listen to your music? If you're sitting out there and you're watching our stream today, I'd be so curious. Are you a vinyl collector, or do you stream your music, or Do you collect CDs? Whatever it might be. Legend of Manu says, I don't have that much knowledge about vinyl, but I would like to learn. Well, hey, I mean, this is how really modern music consumption really began, through vinyl, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of upside to listening to vinyl. I mean, it's certainly expensive and
Takes up space.
and takes up space, exactly. But it sounds great if you take care of your records and you play them, on an appropriate like sound system. You can get a lot more out of your music than just like a little MP3.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Manu says, I grew up in the 2000s with MP3s and stuff, and sadly never had the chance. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like a different wavelength of music fandom. Because first of all, you need the equipment to play the record, and then you have to acquire the records themselves, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be there, sitting in your living room with the thing there, and it's a very manual experience, right?
And it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt almost, where like MP3s, you can just type in, okay, I want this, click download, and then you have it. But like when you think of an album that you want, I like to hunt in the wild versus just ordering online, which you can do. You can order just an album online and get it. But
yeah,
I like being like, oh, I'm going to keep my eye out, for that Doors album. I'm going to keep my eye out. And then someday I find it, and you feel like it's this little treasure, this little Easter egg that you're finding.
Yeah.
That now you get to add this to your collection.
Yeah. I just have a comment coming in here. This is Lawless LG, who is in Kingston, Ontario. Lawless says, I'm just hanging out, being quiet, but since you asked, I do collect vinyl myself. I have a small collection, about 400. That's pretty good. 400?
That's not that small.
400 is not small.
Yeah.
That's like a decent sized collection. I mean, there's some people I have a pretty big collection because I've my business has become part of my collecting. So that's really allowed me to expand my collection. But for the casual hobbyist, 400 is an amazing amount. Well, Lawless LG, do you know if you have any albums from 1972? Because we would like to know. Because right now we're going over our top 10 albums from 1972 that we own. Yeah. So yeah.
Sorry, just going to say another comment here from Dusty Spins. He says, collecting vinyl is showing a commitment to your love of music. You're invested in interacting with your music. Absolutely. It's an interaction. Yeah, you listen to vinyl differently than you listen to like just, say Spotify or something like that, right? Like It really is a commitment to sitting down, listening, and just enjoying it in a different way.
Absolutely true. And Lawless says, oldest I have would be from the 80s. And you know what? That's actually really cool. I think that, personally, I feel like 80s vinyl is a little bit exotic because by the 80s, the cassette tape was really taking off. And then the people that were really cool were beginning to get CDs, right? So, yeah, Lawless, if you want to share with us and let us know maybe your top 5 albums that you're most proud of owning, please do let us know. But anyways, Chris, I think it's your turn to go next with number 7.
Number 7.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Number 7, we have Hendrix in the West.
Ooh.
So this is a live album of Hendrix. This is obviously, so he had passed away at this point. He passed away in September 1970, I believe.
Yeah.
So there were a number of albums that were released after he was passed. A lot of them were just live recordings that he'd made over the years.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. So this is, I think it's mainly 1969 with The Experience, and then also 1970, the Cry of Love tour. So what's cool about this album, now I would say I probably would have ranked it higher, but because it's sort of like, posthumous and just kind of a mishmash of like old recordings.
It's a collection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, compilation.
So this is what's cool about this one is you get some covers from Jimmy. You get
Nice.
he covers Johnny B. Good, so he covers Chuck Berry.
Amazing.
He covers the Beatles. He covers Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Amazing.
And he covers Carl Perkins with Blue Suede Shoes. And there's also 2 really nice long slow jams on this one. There's Red House and Voodoo Child. So you're gonna get that, like, the stuff that you expect from Jimmy, the shredding, the guitar shredding, and the soulful tracks. So this is definitely, like, as far as posthumous stuff goes, this is a good one.
Amazing, yeah. And you know, his career similar to Jim Morrison. I mean, Jim Morrison and Jimmy both died at 27, right? Like very short but very productive careers, and it's just remarkable to think of how much amazing, important stuff he produced and created within that short time period. It's just unbelievable. And that's why so much of his stuff is posthumous, right?
Yeah. And it's still relevant too. Like, I remember the thing about Jimmy, like you know, growing up as a kid, you'd hear his name, and there can be a rush for people to be like, yeah, like Led Zeppelin, they're overrated. Like the Beatles are overrated. Jimi Hendrix is overrated. But like, you listen to Hendrix, like he is not overrated. Like he was doing stuff on the guitar in 1967, 68, 69 that other people weren't doing.
Wow. Yeah, absolute trailblazers, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I just have a comment coming in from Lawless here. Lawless says, I mean, this sounds silly since we're talking about music from the 70s, but I have a test pressing of a Blink-182 album. To be totally honest,
that's awesome.
Lawless, hold on to that. That, in my opinion, is very valuable. A test vinyl of a Blink-182 album. Anything original pressing, in my opinion, is valuable. Doesn't matter who the artist is. I mean, of course, different artists have higher values. That's a given. But still, any original pressing is like gold to me. And then the comment continues, I also have 2 Annihilator records that are numbered and limited to 150 and have only been pressed once. Hold on to those as well. Yeah. I have to be honest, I don't know Annihilator. I assume that's a band. Annihilator kind of sounds like a metal band, perhaps.
Is it Depeche Mode? Is that it? Or sorry, The Cure? Annihilator, I think?
Yeah, Annihilator. Is that The Cure or Depeche Mode? I'll wait and see if he responds. Ooh, okay. He said, Lawless says Annihilator is a Canadian trash metal band.
Oh.
That's cool. Well, hold on to that. And then the comment, it continues. So those are probably my tops only because of the rarity of them. Hey, hold on to those. Thrash. So not trash, but thrash. Trash metal or thrash metal, yeah.
Two very different things.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, honestly though, Lawless, thank you for chiming in here because you know we're also music lovers and music collectors, so I feel the connection with you right now. But still, 400 albums. That's a very respectable amount.
That is.
Right on. So, who's next?
I think it's you.
It's me. Okay, it's me. Okay, so the next album that I have here. Here we go. Drum roll. We got Honky Chateau by Elton John.
Nice.
Honky Chateau by Elton John. This is released in 1972. I'm just gonna, for the viewers out there, I'm just gonna show everybody the album here. And again, this is why I love albums, why I love vinyl, is because of the size of it. And this is a single album, but they still have like an opening sleeve.
Yeah,
thing.
gatefold, yeah.
Gatefold, yeah, that's what you call it. Really, really, really nice photography on this one. The biggest hits from this one, Honky Cat and Rocket Man, I think are the top 2.
Nice.
And the whole album, this one, because I know Elton John is obviously he plays the piano, right? So with the piano goes that sort of piano vibe, and that's kind of the sound that you get out of a piano-centric band. But what I really enjoy about this album, and perhaps this is the theme of my of my presentation today, and that is the whole country rock infusion. And I think that I really like this album because this is Elton John's take on the country rock genre. Like he really uses this very country tinged piano throughout almost pretty much all the songs on this album, and for that reason it has a firm place in my top 10 of 1972.
Awesome.
And that's pretty much for standouts. I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit cliche. Honky Cat and Rocket Man right now are probably my top two from this, and but the rest are just these Elton John with tiny little bit of country tinge that I really really enjoy. So that's my. Is that number 7?
I think that was 7. Yep,
yeah,
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, what were you gonna say there?
I was just gonna say Elton has a little bit of like change. He changed his sound every decade or so. You know, every several years he would change his sound a little bit, right? Which
I think is important to do because you don't want your listeners to get bored of you, right?
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of there's a quote. Like I'm gonna misquote it, but there's a quote from Malcolm Young from AC/DC where he's like, people say that we have 12 albums that sound exactly the same, and that just makes me mad. We have 13 albums that sound exactly the same.
That's brilliant.
It's like, yeah, you can go the AC/DC route and just deliver like your product, like you just have exactly what you do, or you can switch it up and change it a little bit.
Do one thing very well.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
All right. Let's hear
number 6.
We're on number 6. I can't believe it. Okay, let's hear your number 6.
Okay, we're getting into the prog now. You knew you were going to see some prog on this list because
it's your specialty.
Well, one of them, yeah. Yeah, okay. Thick as a Brick, Jethro Tull.
Oh.
So this is the album after Aqualung.
Nice.
And I think so. Aqualung, people had called that a concept album.
Okay.
And so Ian Anderson is the front man and like the creative force for Jethro Tull.
Cool.
And he's the flautist.
Oh.
And someone had called Aqualung a concept album, and I think he kind of took exception to that because it wasn't really a concept album, and so he's kind of wrote this one almost like out of spite, like on a dare, sort of like, you want a concept album? I'll give you a concept album. And then this is literally, this album is just one track for like 46 minutes. Thick as a Brick Part 1, Thick as a Brick Part 2 on side 2. And it just runs continuously. Wow. There's varying themes that you hear at the beginning, and then they'll come back a bit later, and then tons of changes and switches. And of course, you're going to hear the trademark flute. I mean, it's a rock band with the flute. Like, how many rock bands can you name with flutes?
Yeah. Can you show us does it have a gatefold? Or?
Yes, it does.
Oh,
so
please show us. I love how it looks like a newspaper. I love that.
Yes, exactly. It's a newspaper, and there is like a newspaper inside. There's like
amazing.
A crossword, and I think there may have been even more to this than what there is here. But yeah, like you can literally just read articles in this if you wanted, and so I guess the concept of this is that. This little guy, this little kid here, Gerald Bostock, who's fictional, writes this like epic poem, and so the album is based off of this epic poem that little prodigy Gerald Bostock wrote.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. I love it. Thick as a Brick. I love the whole concept behind. So each side is one song.
One long song.
And you can't really do the same thing with an MP3 release, right? Oh, this is a 20-minute MP3. You know, it works with vinyl. It doesn't necessarily work the same way with an MP3 release, right?
Yeah. It's funny with that because the opening track is Thick as a Brick. There was a single, and it's like, I don't know, 6 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I remember having the MP3 of Thick as a Brick, and instead of the song ending, it just the MP3 sort of just like the volume fades out, but you can hear that it's leading into something else.
Cool.
And before I knew about it, I remember being like, why, like, what is next? Like, I don't understand why it just faded out like that.
Yeah.
And then I realized that's because it just moves into the next piece, and then that piece moves into the next piece, but it's still just one song.
Amazing. Gotta have some epic prog rock in there. Okay, so we're on number 6, right?
Number 6,
Number 6. Okay, my number 6. Again, we're going with the country rock theme. We have John Prine, Diamonds in the Rough. John Prine, released in 1972. John Prine, for me, is like an undiscovered Bob Dylan. I mean, he's still famous. He's still very famous, and he's played on radio stations, and he's known. So he's not like completely undiscovered. But the lyricism of John Prine is on par with Bob Dylan's genius lyrics. Like, he's just he's a poet. He's an American poet, and Diamonds in the Rough. This is toward the earlier start of his career. Unfortunately, John Prine passed away, I think, 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. So this album, this is in the earlier half of his career, and similar to Elton John, who we just talked about earlier, he did end up having an illness in his throat, which ended up changing his voice in the latter half of his career. So you can really hear John Prine's his younger voice on this album here. But John Prine, in a nutshell, he's like a more country version of Bob Dylan, a folk artist, a country artist. And just so clever with his language. Standout tracks from here. I mean, the whole album is incredible. The one that really does it for me, Souvenirs. The track Souvenirs on this album is just the standout track. And yeah, if you ever visit Camp Bongo Picks, we totally sing tons and tons of John Prine. So this is I know you and Andrea love the Prine. We do. I just noticed that our buddy Naz Gold Scythe is writing in here. The sound quality of vinyl is so much better than anything digital. I would have to agree with that. I would have to agree. It's the warmth. It's the physical connection to it as well. And I can't agree anymore, Naz, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Part of it, I think, like for me specifically, I'm a history guy, right? Oh yeah. I like history, and I think that's part of vinyl collecting as well. I mean, especially if you're like me and you like classic rock and a lot of older bands, is owning that little piece of history. And like I showed, having like my dad's name written on the top of the album jacket is just kind of cool to me. It's like a little artifact. An artifact, yeah. There's no better way to put it. Absolutely. Okay. All right, so we're on number 5, right? We're getting into the top 10 here. Oh, okay. I'm getting excited. Okay, let's see. I already was excited. Okay. Okay, so number 5. Sticking with the prog. Let's go. Yes. Fragile. Oh yeah. So this is another one that in the UK it came out in 71, but here in North America it came out in 1972. This is, I want to say, his 4th album. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. But this is like beautiful record. Like, I think prog is something that I understand it's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but one of the things I love about prog, which you cannot deny, is the musicianship. Yeah. The best prog bands are just like amazing musicians
who really, really know their craft, and this is no exception here. So there's like some soft plucking, some beautiful, like almost like classical-esque, like you'll hear like a mandolin on here. At least I think it's a mandolin. But then you'll also have like the punch you in the face changes that Yes is like known for. I would say, let me see, standout tracks on here, Roundabout, which is the long, I think it's I don't know how long exactly Roundabout is, but it's quite long. Roundabout, South Side of the Sky, Long Distance Runaround, The Fish, Heart of the Sunrise. This is Yes can be known for like having really long tracks.
Yeah.
But there are some shorter, nice tracks on here, like Long Distance Runaround and The Fish, that you kind of wish would go on a little bit longer. But this album, I could have ranked it higher, and I almost did, but it's tough. Like, you're getting into the top 5 here, so
It's merciless.
something's got to give. But this is an excellent Yes album. And actually, I heard something too, so this album is called Fragile, and I have it somewhere in the stacks here. There's a Bachman Turner Overdrive album called Not Fragile, and they actually chose that name because they were like almost like put off by like a rock album being called Fragile. That they're like, no, like this is a rock album, so this is not Fragile. So there's a little tidbit.
All trivia I find absolutely fascinating. So
Yes.
never hesitate to drop the trivia.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my number 5, right? I think so. I think it is.
Yep.
All right, so my number 5 from 1972. We got Lou Reed, Transformer.
Nice.
Lou Reed, Transformer. This was Lou Reed's first solo album after exiting the Velvet Underground. So Lou Reed was pretty much the leader of the Velvet Underground, and the Velvet Underground is essentially credited with creating the foundation of stripped down music like punk and everything in between. And he was also part of that whole movement that had no limits about singing over about taboo stuff. So we're talking about sex and drugs. Lou Reed was all over that stuff before anybody else was singing about that kind of stuff. And Lou Reed was also right in the thick of the scene with Andy Warhol and that very fresh LGBTQ scene in New York. He was right in the thick of it. I don't believe that Lou Reed. I'm not sure what Lou Reed's orientation. I'm not sure if he was LGBTQ or what, but he was definitely very playful in that he had no boundaries whatsoever.
Yes.
And a lot of the content on this album does relate to that. Standout tracks: Vicious, Perfect Day, Walk on the Wild Side, of course, is the international hit behind this album, which has been sampled in hip-hop numerous times. Walk on the Wild Side. Satellite of Love, Wagon Wheel are the other ones here that come to mind as standout tracks. Lou Reed, famously a very hard to get along with kind of a guy. He was a little bit of an a-hole.
Yeah.
He had a big head, but he was just quirky and lovable at the same time, though. But anyways, yeah, Transformer, that's my number 5.
Nice. I know Perfect Day is a really, really nice song. I really like that one.
Whenever we're having a good day, we tend to hum that song.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Okay, awesome. So now number 4.
Let's hear it. Go for it.
Okay, number 4. Getting into the hard rock here.
All right.
Hard rock.
Can't wait. Rock my world.
This is a live album. The first, and I think the only live album on my list here. This is Deep Purple, made in Japan.
Ooh.
So this is Obviously, this is from 3 shows they played in Japan, and I think it wasn't actually intended originally to actually be an album that they were going to release.
Yeah.
But they did end up releasing it, and this is a phenomenal live album. So good. Like this is a double album.
Yeah.
And there is seven songs on this double album.
Wow.
So you're gonna hear some really long jammy jam out songs, and like so. The Ian Gillan is the vocalist, and there's a Child in Time on this one is like fantastic. You just hear him like wailing like a banshee on that one. There's a really nice call and answer on the album between Richie Blackmore, the guitarist, and John Lord, who was the drummer.
Yeah.
You're hearing Smoke on the Water. There's a really nice little song called Lazy where they give John Lord like and the Mule as well. They give him like a lot of time to drum solos. Really nice gatefold here from Japan. This is an album that like if you know Deep Purple or you like hard rock, pick this up. Like there's some bands, I mean some that I've seen live in person that don't sound that great live. This album is just like it's incredible that this is just a live album. The band is really on point with this one, and all of the tracks that you would kind of expect to hear up to this point: Highway Star, Child in Time, Smoke on the Water, The Mule, Strange Kind of Woman, Lazy, and then Space Truckin'. And Space Truckin' is on side 6 or side 4, and it's the entire length of side 4. So I got this one for a good deal because it has a little bit of water damage on the bottom, but that doesn't bother me one bit because the album itself sounds great.
The sound quality is unchanged, right?
Exactly, yes.
Luckily, a vinyl disc, it's not susceptible to water damage, is it?
I think like you can get corrosion from from hard water and that kind of stuff, but I think the threat is really like mold. You can get mold on records.
Yes.
And that can be tough to get off.
Yeah.
But you can also like you can salvage a record if it's got mold. You could clean it up and get it off, but I haven't had too much experience with that.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, so my number 4 now of 1972. My number 4 is Ziggy Stardust.
Nice.
David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. That is my top 4 from 1972 of the albums that I own. This is a concept album, as we all know. One of his most famous characters that he played, Ziggy Stardust. And this is one of those albums that are just made for cover to cover listening, like from track 1 all the way to the last track. It just flows great. I can't say enough good stuff about it. And David was very, very influential with setting down the inspiration and foundation of alternative rock and a lot of modern rock, I would say. And of course, like his whole costumes and his whole visual image that he projects in this era and on this album is just so iconic. So it has a very, very well-earned spot in my lineup here. For me to choose some standouts, I love the opening tracks. 5 Years, Suffragate City, Rock and Roll Suicide. Those I'm gonna say are the standout tracks for me, and it's just so quirky. It's just such a beautiful concept album, and it's just David Bowie being his best. So that's my number 4.
Have you heard the I don't know if I call it conspiracy theory with that album, but
tell me more.
It's clearly just it's nonsense, but So the opening track, 5 Years, right?
Yeah, love that song.
And so that song, well, if you look at the cover of that album,
Yeah.
it's Ziggy kind of in, an alleyway, and that yellow sign up above that says K West.
Yeah.
And so 1972, 5 years after 1972,
Yeah.
Kanye West was born.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Oh
it's
my
like
God, that's a funny theory. That's very
this
funny.
weird connection between
That's very
Ziggy
interesting.
Stardust and Kanye West.
Hey, never hesitate to drop trivia because I love trivia.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
Including conspiracy theory trivia.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
so we're in the top 3, right?
top 3.
Okay,
This
let's
is
go.
the nitty gritty right here.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, number 3. You've seen them on this list already. We're getting a double dose.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
This is Close to the Edge.
Okay.
Also from 1972, obviously, because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So Fragile was before the album before this.
Yeah.
And Fragile, I mentioned that there were like some shorter tracks on there, a couple of like 3-minute long tracks, and a couple of long ones. This album is 3 songs.
Wow.
So Close to the Edge is all of side 1, and then side 2 is And You and I, and side 3 is Siberian Kachru.
Okay.
And there's different, they break, like Close to the Edge is broken down into 4 different parts, and you'll hear those transitions. But this is, again, like I said, the musicianship on here is incredible.
Yeah.
The bass, the organ. Rick Wakefield was the drummer. Wakeman, sorry. Not the drummer, keyboards. Rick Wakeman was the keyboards. Chris Swire on bass. Steve Howe on guitar. Bill Bruford on percussion, and John Anderson on vocals. Bruford, I think he ended up joining King Crimson after this.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Another prog band, but this is just punch you in the face, like changes on here. It's just so good, and like I said, it's really, prog is an acquired taste, I think. But the more I listen to this, the more I love it. Like, I love Yes more every single time I listen to it. And I remember, I'm getting something that I'm echoing. Someone's saying I'm echoing here. Sorry, just making an adjustment here.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, this is just, every time I hear it, I like it even more. It's just incredible, fantastic. Yes, Close to the Edge.
Amazing. And so they released 2 really good albums in 1 year.
Yes.
Very cool.
Essential. That Close to the Edge is just a prog masterpiece.
Great. Okay, so shall I go to my number 3?
Yes. Yes, you should.
All right, so Bongo's number 3. I have a feeling this is also going to be on your list as well. But my number 3 is Harvest by
Nice.
Neil Young. Harvest by Neil Young. One of his, this album had his only number 1 hit, as far as I know, which was Heart of Gold, I think, hit number 1, and he did not have another song that hit number 1. But of course, Neil Young doesn't care. Neil Young doesn't care whether he's number 1 or number 2 or whatever it is. He just cares that he's doing good music and and just enjoying his artistry, because that's who he is, right? And I think you were telling me once this is considered one of the best Canadian albums of all time, and it's absolutely. I mean, Heart of Gold is I think Heart of Gold will be a song that we sing even 500 years from now. But Out on the Weekend, The Song Harvest, Heart of Gold, Are You Ready for the Country, Old Man, The Needle and the Damage Zone. I'd say that those are my standout tracks from this album. It's
Yes.
a beautiful, beautiful LP. And this is my number 3. And look how beautiful this art. Neil Young's visual artistry is my love. I just love the way that he depicts himself through art on his albums. I'm all over it.
I heard that he wanted the jacket to decompose over time.
That's pretty phenomenal. Yeah, he would want stuff like that. Yeah, he's so particular, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. And actually, that I don't know if it's that copy, but we made a trade. You got
That's right, we did.
I had 2 copies of Harvest, and you had 2 copies of Born to Run, and we made a trade.
And that's a vital piece of our vinyl relationship, right?
That's right. That's right.
Trading. Trading. That's a whole other. And you can't quite do the same with MP3s, right? But a physical copy, you can trade that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so shall we go to number 2?
Get us started.
Okay, number 2, which we just saw.
Oh!
Neil Young.
Chris's number 2 is also Harvest.
So yeah, I mean,
number 2. Nice.
What can I say that you haven't said already, or hasn't been said about this album already?
Yeah.
I love the back. They're showing the barn here.
That picture is so beautiful.
Yeah.
James Taylor's on it, right?
Well, this is James Taylor, Linda Ronstadt, and I think all of Crosby, Stills, and Nash are all guest vocalists on this.
Yeah.
So I heard at one time, I don't know if this is completely true or not, but I heard with so James Taylor plays the banjo on Old Man,
right?
And I had heard that Neil, they were like rehearsing, and they're just like, okay, so trying to give James like an idea of what he wants, and so he's like, okay, so we'll play it through. So they play it through.
Yeah.
And he's plucking away on the banjo, and they finish, and then James Taylor's like, okay, Neil, like I'm ready to lay the track down. And then Neil's like, what do you mean? That was it. we got it. So it might be false, but I heard that about this, and this is it was released. It was recorded in a barn, like many of Neil's stuff is. You've got that like unpolished sound from Neil.
The raw sound.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome. Uh-oh. I don't know if I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Now I can hear you.
I was I was just concerned. I was told that I was echoing, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's sounding on the other end, but okay. So the only thing I would say about this album is that like tons of really good tracks. On the Weekend is great. Are You Ready for the Country? One of my favorite kind of like sleepy songs that maybe doesn't get talked about enough with Neil. The only song that doesn't hit me right is There's a World with the orchestra. So I find it just like a little bit heavy-handed. But this is a country rock masterpiece, I think.
It is a country rock masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the London Symphony Orchestra, I think, that he get, and then Man Needs a Maid also has the orchestra. Myself personally, I'm not. Man Needs a Maid is probably one of my least favorite Neil Young songs. Again, it's just so orchestral, right? And it almost feels out of place as, being on this raw country rock record, right?
Yeah,
But still, despite those moments, it's still such an important album, right?
absolutely.
Okay, so that was your number 2.
Yes.
Let's talk about Bongo's number 2 here. Okay, so my number 2 is an album called "Will the Circle Be Unbroken," and this is a collaboration album involving at the time in 1972 the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band put this together. So the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was a country rock band that was up and coming, and they were. This is a double. Actually, I think this is a triple album. Triple. This is a triple album. I
Nice.
love. If I ever have to rank favorite albums or desert island albums, I always go for the ones that are just massive but also quality, because you just get that much more quality, right? There's so many songs, 28. I think there's 28 songs on here if I'm not mistaken. Or no, wait, maybe that's the price. 3 LPs, $28. That's probably what that means. But this album to me it is just so beautiful. So basically they get the Carter, I think it was Maybelle Carter, Roy Acuff, and a whole bunch of other very important country artists. So yeah, Mother Maybelle, Earl Scruggs, Doc Watson, Roy Acuff, and then a whole bunch of other people. Very, very important Grand Ole Opry performers, and just and then so it's this fascinating collaboration between this up and coming band, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and then their old timey country star heroes as well. And it's just and it's all recorded live too. That's my other favorite thing about this album.
Great.
It's all recorded live. It's not like a studio album with layers of tracks and that kind of stuff. It's all done live, and it's just an inspiring piece of music. And from in the country canon, this is a very, very, very important album. So that's called "Will the Circle Be Unbroken" with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and then all of the living country artists that were alive in 1972.
Awesome. That's great. Great collaboration.
All right.
Okay.
Are we on the number 1?
We're on the top spot.
We're in the top spot. This is an important moment right here.
This is an important. You can probably guess which one mine is going to be because we haven't talked about it yet.
Okay. Let's hear it. Oh, the number 1.
Ziggy Stardust.
Ziggy Stardust is your number 1.
Yeah,
Nice.
you know what? This album, I didn't want to say too much about it when you were talking because I wanted to save something for when I was going to talk. But
Yeah.
This is, like start to finish, every single song is fantastic. Every song flows into the next song perfectly.
Yeah.
I love on the back here it says to be played at maximum volume.
Yeah.
And this is for me this is a reissue. I think it's like a 2012 or 2016 reissue, and it's actually was done really, really well. Very, very excellent reissue. We talked about, I love 5 years. I love just that chant, 5 years.
Yeah.
Just it's great. It really gets you going. It's such a perfect opener for this album.
Yeah.
I love Soul Love, the second track, Moon Age Daydream, the third track. It Ain't Easy to close out side 1. Both sides are fantastic, but particularly I really love side 1 on this.
Yeah.
But you got Starman, Lady Stardust, Star, Hang On to Yourself, Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, Rock and Roll Suicide. This is you can just hear Bowie's, just his sheer talent. This is just such a great album. Really, really, really strong stuff from Bowie here. So this is my number 1. It wasn't an easy decision. I love the once you're getting into the top 5,
It's
is
hard.
like, oh man, I love all of these albums. But there's some, my girlfriend and I both, we love spinning this album. This is probably one of the albums that we spin the most in my collection.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, my Yes and like the Neil Young Harvest and like where I'm gonna put these albums on the list, and it's like, Close to the Edge is such an iconic Yes album, but I find sometimes it's like you have to be in the right mood to play an album like that. Harvest gets number 2 spot particularly because you kind of mentioned that like Harvest, 500 years we'll be hearing it. It's like Harvest, there's so many tracks on that like you can play around a campfire and you can sing around a campfire, which obviously appeals to you and I. And this album is just every single time I hear it, it puts me in a good mood, and I can't say enough about it. I love it so much.
Boom, boom, boom. It's been said. And I just want to give a shout out. Our friend Duck is back. Welcome back to the stream, Duck. Lawless says, wow, what a twist. So upon you unveiling that number 1, Lawless says, what a twist. Yes. Bowie appears on both of our lists, both in the top 5. Your number 1. And what's left is my number 1. Red X has just joined us here. Hello, just chatting today. Yes, we are just chatting today. That's right, we're chatting about vinyl records here with my friend Chris. Okay, so from 1972, my top album that I own on vinyl is Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones. This is, I think, their only double album. Perhaps maybe they've released albums, like compilation albums that might be double albums, but I think that this is their one and only. Again, if I'm incorrect, please do correct me, but I'm pretty sure that this is their only double album as an original release. And this is considered to be a lot of music critics actually consider this to be their best album because of its size. It's just enormous. And this was so the Rolling Stones had a string of albums that were just so important. Started off with Beggar's Banquet, released in 1968. In 1969, you had Exile on Main Street. I think 71 was Sticky
No,
Fingers.
that's Exile on Main Street.
And sorry, what did I say? Exile on Main...
Let It Bleed? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Sorry. So, 68, Beggar's Banquet. 69, Let It Bleed. That's what I meant to say. 69, Let It Bleed. 71, Sticky Fingers. 72, this album here. And those 4 albums, any band would kill just to release a fraction of any of those albums. They were just loaded with genius moments of rock and roll. And this album was released when they were actually tax exiles living in France. And that's part of the reason why it's called Exile on Main Street. And they were, Keith Richards rented a mansion. And it was just all debauchery all the time. And how they even ended up recording an album is anybody's guess, because it was just a party. It was just a 24/7 party the whole time. Apparently at one point, they actually had drug dealers that came in and stole equipment from them, and like the saxophones disappeared one day, and it was like rock and roll at its peak, and they just lived the rock and roll lifestyle in the creation of this album. And it's just so big. It is a double disc, so I love the size of it for that reason. And by double album, yeah, here you go. You've got your 2 albums. Standout tracks, Happy, Ventilator Blues, Shine a Light, other ones that are really good.
Tumbling Dice is on there.
Tumbling Dice is incredible.
I love that song.
Sweet Virginia is incredible. Black Angel is incredible. Loving Cup is incredible as well. The Rolling Stones were also very soulful during this period of time in their history. Like they had this soul influence that they were singing with. It was blues and soul, and it was just really, really fantastic. And yeah, that's my definite number one. I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan, and Exile on Main Street for me is my top 1972 album.
That is a good one. That's one that I don't have, and you're absolutely right. Like we have Let It Bleed.
Oh, Let It Bleed is so good.
yes, and I plan on getting Exile. Haven't found it for the right, just the right price yet.
It's a big album. It's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have confirmation from viewer Beatley Tones Beatles channel says yes, that is their only double studio album.
This is why I love the live stream, is that
exactly.
I can get these verifications in real time, right?
Instantly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a fantastic album. Definitely one that I plan on having in my collection someday. And if I did, it would be on the list, but I don't, so it's not there.
And but this is the beauty of vinyl collecting, is that it's all about the hunt, right?
That's right. We will find it.
And in all fairness, I only bought this physical copy. I only got this, I'm gonna say, right before the pandemic. I think, and I got this actually in Oshawa at the Oshawa Record Fair. Which was in the winter time. Yeah, it was at a church basement in Oshawa.
Awesome.
Yeah, and again, I feel like it was either late 2018 or early 2019. So this is actually a little bit more of a newer addition to my own collection.
Great.
Right on, man. Awesome.
All right.
So,
well,
if you didn't think it could be done, it has been done. We've listed our top 10. It's been hard. I feel bad for the albums that we had to leave off of the list, but
I know.
When you're making lists, you have to make cuts, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, that was great. That was a lot of fun, Bongo.
Hey, I had an amazing time. I had so much fun. I love nerding out about this kind of stuff. Is the stream ending, says Duck. What we haven't really talked too much about the ending of the stream. I think it might be. Yeah, I mean our goal was to just talk about our top 10. I am going to be back tomorrow, Duck. I'm going to be doing Splatoon 2 starting at 7 p.m. and then moving on to Mario Kart later on in the stream. So I will be back tomorrow. So you can catch us again tomorrow evening. But yeah.
Yes, the same viewer, Beatley Tones Beatles channel says, sorry I missed the rest of this stream. 1972 was a fantastic year for rock music. Absolutely true.
It was, yes, in the early stages of the 70s. So, but anyways, your video will be saved on your channel. So all of the viewers that missed out, you can just rewind back and catch the earlier half of our conversation.
That's right. And if enough people like this kind of a stream of you and I talking music, then maybe we'll make it a regular thing and we'll do it every so often.
I would love to do it more often. Absolutely. I could talk about vinyl all day long.
That's right. It doesn't have to end.
That's right. Awesome, man.
Well, so yes, I am Chris over at Stylus Meets Vinyl. This is Bongo over at Bongo Picks. And this has been us chatting about our favorite records from 1972.
Amazing. And actually, I wanted to ask you, how do we find you on YouTube? Do we just search for Stylus Meets Vinyl?
That's right. Stylus, Stylus, Meets Vinyl.
And that's how we find Chris. Awesome.
That's it.
Beautiful. Lawless says, great stream, guys.
Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome.
That means a lot to us, Lawless. No, we appreciate you tuning in and nerding out about retro collecting of music. And Lawless, I would be so curious to hear more about your collection. 400 pieces extending from the 80s onwards, and you having some underground thrash metal and some unreleased Blink-182 stuff. That's super cool. If that's just the tip of the iceberg, I can only imagine what other gems you have in your collection. So
that's right. Well, it looks like I got something right because Beatly Tones agrees with me. He says Ziggy wins for me too for 1972. So
Oh, yeah.
some kind of vindication there. But it's nice to see
Of
the top, like
course.
once top five. Once you start, it's such a difficult process.
Of,
Cutting it down, right?
oh, it's so hard to do. Yeah, yeah. Right
All
on,
right.
friend.
Well,
All right.
Bongo, it's been
Hey,
great.
it's been awesome. Yeah, you take care. And
You too.
we'll definitely hook up another time to do something like this. We'll think of another thematic conversation piece. And hey, this is just our first time as well, so we'll see what other funky stuff happens in the future with our future stream collabs.
That's right. That's right. Thanks to everyone who tuned in and for the comments as well. The interaction with everyone has been awesome.
Right on. Yeah, we appreciate it. Okay, you take care, Chris.
Yep. You too, Bongo.
All right, peace out, friend.
Peace.
Peace out. All right, so that's my friend Chris. And as you can tell, based on our conversation, we're both vinyl collectors. And I love music. I love playing music. I love live music. I love performing music. And the other thing that I love is collecting the physical medium of the original thing, vinyl. Just absolutely love it. I dropped him a follow on YouTube. Oh, he'd love that. Yeah. And yeah, he lives just outside of Sudbury as well. So Chris is another local Ontario streamer.
Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, my friend. I hope to see you again.
I appreciate that. Hey, thank you for joining us, everybody. So in case you were wondering, we're going to be live tomorrow. I'm going to be starting Splatoon 2 at 7 p.m. And later on throughout the night, that will turn into, what do you call that? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So thank you for joining us again tonight. Really appreciate your company. Let's see. Who are we going to raid here? We're going to do a raid. It all depends on who do we feel like. Who do we feel like raiding? Just because we might be doing Mario... Well, we're probably going to be doing Mario Kart tomorrow after our Splatoon 2 stream. Let's raid a streamer here. Deswez? Deswez, as in, like... I don't know if I understand the super hip lingo that you're using there, as in Deswez. Well, I will be... yeah, I don't even know what that means, Lawless. But anyways, thank you for joining us, everybody. We're going to raid... Oh, I thought I heard you say Des. Oh, maybe I didn't. I don't know what I said. It's a streamer playing... Oh, Deswez. No, Chubby Waifu. Chubby Waifu is who I've never rated this streamer before. I've followed her like a long time ago, and I've lurked in her stream before. But we're gonna say hi to Chubby Waifu. All right, and let's do our raid out song, and let's go. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
It's a raid. Make a way for this raid. It's okay. We're all part of the same raid. It's a raid. Make a way for this raid. Welcome, raid.